Well, hello, it's Donny Walker here. Look at that, not using a crutch or the walker. Walker. Just want to show you an old tool I just grabbed at my dad's place when I clean up his stuff. This is a snap-on 3-shoe hone. It's not actually shoes. You put emery cloth on here, different grit, whatever you want, and you can hone cylinders with this. Chrome cylinders, if you don't want to use the ball hone type ones with different grips you have. You know, the old ball hones people use. A lot of people say, can you hone cylinders on chainsaws? Yeah, you can hone them. You can't bore them, but you can hone them. You know, if you've got an old one with some edges on it or had a little bit of aluminum transfer, you can take it off with the muriatic acid, then run a ball hone through it, that type of style. Or this one here with your different grit of paper, right? This thing's perfect. Gives you a nice tension and leaves a nice finish just to kind of clean it up, give you a tad of a crosshatch back on your chrome, and it seems to work fine. A lot of people say, oh man, you just toss them if they're like that. No, bull. I've fixed many cylinders with this thing here or a ball hone. That's not what I'm here to talk about. Happy October 1st. I had a great weekend away. We drove up to Kamloops, BC, which is the interior of BC, to see my daughter at the university. So me and Shelly, thanks very much, Shelly, for the weekend. It was great hang out to get away, and we both got away from work. Well, I haven't been working much, but she has, and sometimes it's stressful. So yeah, thanks, honey, for taking me up there to see my daughter. But I did most of the driving with my left foot. But sitting in that car for 4 hours driving, oh, my leg got pretty cramped up and had these weird twitches in my foot. But anyways, stop whining, Donnie. Let's talk about MS200s. Actually, before that, I want to talk to you about BC a bit. You know, that drive up there, what a beautiful drive. You go, you know, once you get off the ferry and get out of the cement city of Vancouver, or concrete city, I call it, you get into the Chilliwack Valley and Hope and up through the Coquihalla, through the mountain range. It's beautiful. You know, we have such a weird geographic area of BC here. You know, you got desert, you got wetlands like over here, like rainforest. You know, surf and turf, right? You got surfing, you got fishing. Down out here, up there, you got hunting and snowmobiling. You can do everything here, you know. So I advise anyone going on a trip, come to beautiful BC and check it out. Whatever you're into, there's something here for you. I should be a tour guide. And you know what? I got a lot more of this province to see. You know, sometimes I don't want to go away to different countries and see different places. It's neat to see, like history of different places, but I love my own place, and that's why a lot of people spend big dollars coming here. So anyways, come and check it out if you want. But my daughter's doing really well at the university. She's staying with a really nice family in her own suite. And yeah, right on, Taylor. Love you, honey. So we're here today to talk about 200Ts. Problems that people have with them and situations that happen with them. So let's start off. You know, I've already taken the bar and chain off. No one needs me to see me to take the bar and chain off or the starter off, okay? I just did that to clean it up a little bit so I can kind of show you some stuff. And yes, of course, a logger brought this in and never cleaned it, but that's okay. With used saws, that's the way it goes. This is Ian Elshaw's saw. He owns Elshaw Tree Service up here around my area. And he's actually from Sabellis, where I worked years ago in a logging camp fixing chainsaws. I don't even know if he was born then, were you in like 89 to 91? I was up there. I worked with his family and some other people that he knows that we're all friends with. But anyways, I'm going to show you some common problems. Let's just start by the chain brake and clutch cover. Okay, your chain brake, common problem on chain brakes is either your band's broken, or it's coming on too easy. You know, it snaps on super easy. It's very frustrating. It's always snapping on. So the two problems with them really are, yeah, band breakage, which is from guys hammering them on all the time, which is ridiculous. A lot of guys think it's like an emergency brake. No, it's there for just safety. But yes, it's nice to lock on once in a while. If it's not running right, you know, maybe the chain's turning around, sucking air. So you got to, you know, safety first, right? So yeah, band breakage, or simply that it's locking on easy. And I'm just showing you on this side cover really what happens while they lock on too easy. So you just take this cover off that goes over the brake spring and the band. It's just 2 screws, and it just gets a lot of buildup in there of the fines. and it just makes it super easy to activate. Just watch that spring don't come out of you. Okay, I'm going to activate it right now. It is activated. So yeah, there you go. All this garbage in here makes it lock up too easy, okay? So you need to take this apart once in a while and blow this out. And right here, what we call the wishbone, it connects the handle to the pivot arm that runs your spring and your brake band. Some of those break, okay, from guys slamming it on too hard. You know, so change that. I call it a wishbone or dog bone. Change that, clean it up. If it needs a new band, put it in. If not, you're good to go. Put it back together and good to go. We'll just put that aside right now. So that's your clutch cover and chain brake issues that are pretty common on 200s. Your next thing is oilers. A lot of oilers stop working. And the main reason is just the oilers get plugged up with crap. And they got such tiny holes in the feed pump and the hose itself that goes into the feed for the oil. Because every time you take this cap on and off, stuff goes in there. So mainly, I would say 90% of oiler problems on these is because it's just plugged up. So I just take them apart and clean them up. Okay, so that's your oiler, which usually isn't too much of a problem. Clutches. So left-hand thread on the clutches, so righty-loosey, lefty-tighty. Most common problem on these are their springs. These things are so snappy and you're on and off them so much. These springs get really worn in here. And I'll show you one spring that came off this clutch. It's quite wore on the tang there, okay? So these ones are gonna snap and break pretty quickly. When I change them, I change all three. And I also look at the clutch real close and look at the holes where the spring goes in. Sometimes they get a groove in there. So now even with a new spring, it could be loose, right? So then you're gonna break springs even easier. So replace your clutch if you have to. This one, I'm going to put all new 3 springs in it, just because. Check your drive of your clutch. This is a spur type sprocket. This one's in great shape, hardly any wear to it. If it's really wore on the grooves, then you need to change it, or it's going to be out of pitch, and your chains are going to stretch and come off easy. Check your bearing. These are not many faults with these. Just give it a grease job though when you put it back together. You know, check it out, right? Okay, so that's your oiler problems and your clutch problems that are pretty common on these. Another thing is, as I'm looking at it, is the switches. If your switch isn't working, usually it's this yellow wire in behind here. This yellow wire has the one screw is a ground through this hole here, and the other plugs in here into the switch area. Usually they break from guys pulling too hard or breaking them out, okay? So that's a simple fix. You take this cover off here, and you can buy this switch wire, and it comes with this little tab dealie to replace it. So yeah, that's another issue with them. Another one is mufflers. Sometimes they'll come loose and people don't realize it and they strip the bolts, so you have to helicoil the muffler bolts and put it back together. And these little bolts that hold the two halves together sometimes come out, so you need to put either a new muffler on it or a different oversized screw that'll hold that muffler together. This one I'm going to put one of Gordy's bark box units on. It's already been hogged out a bit, but I'm going to put this on it for Ian. Okay, and that's the modification of the muffler. I don't port these. I never really have, and I see no reason why. They're just ripper saws. So yeah, the other thing is pulse lines. That's the first thing I look at when guys say they're not running right or dying out. Underneath the carburetor here, kind of hard to see, but there's a line there. That's your pulse line. It comes down here, feeds from the crankcase to the carburetor housing here, okay? That'll get pulled off or have a worn hole in it. And there's a carb boot there too that can get ripped if you break a mount. Okay, so those are kind of common things for it dying out, not running right. So far, I don't see that problem with the pulse line, or the fuel filter is good, and I pressurized the fuel line already, which you should do, to make sure you got no leaks to your carburetor. It holds pressure, so I know the needle's sealing in the carburetor, and there's no holes in the fuel line. Okay, so if it's still not running right after you've maybe checked those kind of things, two big problems with these: crank seals and carburetors. If you notice the cranks on 200Ts, they move back and forth. The reason is, maybe someone can tell me that on a comment. But you know what? I'm going to tell you anyways. They have needle bearings in the bottom end on both sides, needle type bearings. So it's made to float back and forth so much, okay? And that's why the seals wear out quickly. Round type bearings, roller bearings, you wouldn't have that problem as much. So if you take it into your local shop and they say, hey, your crank's moving around and things no good, that's BS. So don't listen to them. Watch my video and do what I'm going to do here. So if it is still dying out, not running right, it's either seals or carburetor. And the carburetors is like lots of other Zamas and some Walbros that have an accelerator pump system. It runs off the throttle shaft and pushes this plunger up and down to make it accelerate better and for kind of for emissions too. When these go bad, it'll kind of race and die out. But the seals can do that too. So I put new seals and a carburetor on them all the time when that symptom's going on. Because a lot of times I change seals, I go out and give it back to the fella. He starts running it for an hour, does the same thing again. So we know it was a carburetor. So I just changed both. Carburetors in Canada retail for $125. You can't beat that. So in the US it's cheaper. But you think about it, this saw is the best made of any topping saw. If you got to spend 125 bucks Canadian, well worth it for a saw like this, that the engine and everything's in great shape. So don't be cheap buying aftermarket carburetors. Buy the proper ones and the proper seals for it. All OEM. It's all I use. Okay. So yeah, those are kind of your common problems on these, you know, and sometimes guys as well on the side here where your adjustments are for your carburetor, you have a winter and summer slide. Okay, this winter and summer slide here, if it's in and you see the snowflake, you know it's in winter mode. If you don't see the snowflake and just the piece in here, you know it's set up for summer. So if you're in real cold conditions, you can turn that thing around and it'll run better in the winter. But don't forget to change it around. I've had so many guys bring in saws saying that thing's dying out when it gets hot. Well, because it's boiling your gas in your carburetor, because it's too hot now. So all that hot air off your cylinder is blowing through this hole of this rig here and coming right into your carburetor. So those are the most common problems on 200Ts. Other than that, like I say, the best in the world chainsaw for topping. Still better than their new model, which has been improved a lot, the 201 TC or M-Tronic one. But they've done a lot of changes to that, so I forget how many changes, like 60 or something. Unbelievable. But yeah, if you can still keep these ones going, keep them going. Nothing like old school, eh? So yeah, I'm going to get back to work here and going to tear this thing apart. I'm going to show you how to install seals and look at that carb boot and put the carburetor on, and then we'll run her up later. So keep your saw in the wood, stick it in nice, rubber on the road. Hope everyone has a great October. Get out, enjoy the fall. It's a bit rainy out there today, but wax up them skis, tune up that snowmobile. Get your rifles ready if you're hunters, because everyone's going hunting now. Just have a great month. Take care. Stay off ladders. Funny, eh? Okay. Have a great day. Bye now.